Good afternoon, everybody. This session is called Natural Stone Countertops, Considerations for Marble, Granite, Quartzite, and Soapstone. It is one of the Natural Stone Institute CEU presentations. If you are a member, you can go through a very simple orientation process and deliver this yourself if you're a stone professional to your customer base. My name is Buddy Antra. I am a fabricator, primarily a countertop fabricator in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Longtime member of the Natural Stone Institute. I've got 40 years in the natural stone industry, mostly as a countertop fabricator. I've served on the board of directors of the Institute since 2016. I'm going to allow the rest to introduce themselves so I don't have to. We have a nice diverse panel of different areas of experience. Evan.
Also, don't forget the current sitting board president of the board of directors. So wonderful to have you here as well. My name is Evan Cohen. We're a importer distributor of natural stone and other hard surfaces in Southern California and Arizona. We do residential, commercial, cut to size, and I'm also on the board of directors as well, following in Buddy's footsteps, just not as much experience, but glad to be here as well.
He's the current sitting secretary.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is William Spontel. Despite my name, I'm from Italy. Sorry about my accent. So I work for a marketing agency, and we work with quarries from Morocco, Portugal, Carrara, Italy, and Tuscany. I've been in the country for 22 years. I've been in the business for 20 in the natural stone. Glad to be here with you.
Thanks, Williams. Now, as you see, we have a fabricator and installer, we have a distributor, and a designer. So we've got like the three, main areas about working with natural stone in the home. So, and let me just say that if anybody has any questions on anything that we're covering at any time, we only have an hour, but please go ahead and ask now, like as that slide is up and as that topic is going on, rather than wait to the end and then we kind of lost track of what we're talking about. So I'm going to just kind of go through all of the other stuff. If you have any questions about this, I talked about the CEU program. Members can become CEU speakers, and it's a rather simple process. So, and the three of us had to go through, a little bit of orientation to, be allowed to do this because we don't want to just run up here all willy-nilly and stuff. So, how many designers in the room? I see one, two, four. Okay, all right, good. Any fabricators?
Fabricator.
Okay. Countertop primarily? Okay. Distributors, slab sellers there. Okay, that's, well, that's half as your group there. Yeah. And how many retailers like storefront, tile, stone stores? Okay, so we have a pretty good crowd, pretty diverse crowd there. Natural stone is beautiful. It's got all kinds of things. No two pieces are the same. Even those salt and pepper granites that we see on the sides of buildings, when the countertop boom went on, and you had a choice of Luna Pearl or Rosa Bovino, they looked the same except one was pink and one was white and gray. Your neighbor can get the same thing, and it still isn't the same. It's not, they're just no two pieces alike. And, we're going to try to, help you out to, figure out what's going to be the best for not only yourself, but for, more importantly, your end user. And there are the learning objectives. I'm not going to read it verbatim. You have any questions, I'll leave it up there for a second and, go ahead and ask, or I'm just going to keep on clicking. All right, so let's know what stone we're using. Know your natural stone, okay? Now, we all had earth science back in the day, and, we learned some things, but I forgot by the time I was 18 and working on a high-rise building, I forgot everything I learned in high school, which was like a year earlier. Okay, so, the difference between natural stone and the man-made engineered stone is natural stones are what we call harvested. They're basically carved out and they're just made from what they are. They're not a bunch of ingredients put together to resemble a stone. So this photograph here, I believe, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, that's the local Las Vegas rock quarry of the local quartzite that we see a lot around here. And silicious stones are those based basically on silica or quartz based. Your granites, quartzites, soapstones, they have different qualities as far as scratchability. They primarily won't etch. You can leave a lemon on it and nothing will happen. Soapstone, you might be able to scratch it with your thumbnail, and the granites and quartzites, which quartzites I'm going to say are relatively new to the market, 10, 15 years since I started seeing them on a regular basis. And when they came on, they were mislabeled, but geologically, those are, commercially, this is what we're selling. And geologically, we'll get into, there's some others in that category, that we sell as granite, but it's really a gabbro or other types of geological things. The calcareous stones are marbles and limestones. They will etch, leave a lemon on it, it'll etch, scratch a little bit easier. Who knows the difference between a limestone and a marble? Evan, why don't you answer that?
A few billion years?
Yeah, at least a couple million years. So, marble is a limestone that was, compressed or heated, and it gives it a different type of structure to it, but it's the same type of ingredients. And more pictures of stuff. We're talking about absorption here. If you look a little bit, the Danby marble, you think granite is going to be less absorbent than marble, but the Danby marble is less. It's more impervious than a lot of granites, which is kind of contrary. But what this slide tells me and what this information tells me is there really is no blanket statement when we're talking about natural stone. You can't just say, well, all granite performs like this or all marble performs like that. They're really unique to each other and different from each other and unique to themselves, I should say.
If I can add to that as well, it's very important. Obviously, some designers here, fabricators, stone distributors, knowing the stone, knowing what you're working with, and being able to get that information to the client properly is really important. And you see these types of things, these slides here, and it just goes to show that there's really no, as you said, blanket statement. So one of the things that I always like to mention here as well is that if there's questions about using certain types of stones, how it's going to perform, there's a lot of resources out there, whether it's a distributor who understands the stones well, and if it's not, then being able to reach out to either your local, if you're familiar with the Natural Stone Institute, has a great resource library, and there's a lot of people you can call that'll pick up the phone, and if you have a question about a specific product, how it's going to last, where you should put it, if it's the proper ways to handle it, lots of information there too, because it's quite a broad range of what works. So
I want to get a quick idea of experience, time in the stone industry. How many have been here less than 10 years working with natural stone? 10 to 20. 20 and more. 30 and more. All right. I know I don't look as, like I've been working with stone for 40 years. But
40 and more.
Who's familiar with Crema Marfell? Where's that 30-year guy? Well, Crema Marfell, way back, was always sold as a marble. Geologically, it's a limestone, so it's particularly softer and more absorbent in general. I don't want to contradict my blanket statement. But the Crema Marfell was sold as a marble because it takes a high shine. There are a lot of limestones on the market that commercially they've been sold as marbles because they take that really, really high shine. So, Williams, you want to?
Yeah, I want to add something because I come from the Italian region, so it's amazing and it's important actually to understand that there are marbles and marbles. If you happen to be in Carrara, which is a beautiful part where the Carrara marble is extracted, you will see a statue outside. People think, oh, you cannot put marble on exterior. Some marbles actually they can be put outside. They can sustain the acid rain. They can sustain the meteorological elements. So do your research like we've been talking about. National Stone Institute Technical Manual is a good resource, but know in details the technical characteristics of the product.
Thanks, William. And here's just some more photographs of various marbles or so. Please chime in if you have any questions about anything. I would have said Emperador Light was a limestone, going back just by the way it performs, but, geologically, it's a marble. Okay, marble or quartzite. How many have purchased a marble and thought it was a quartzite or spec'd it?
How many people have heard of soft quartzites? Okay, so we hear the term soft quartzites all the time, but that's not really a thing. And so it's really important to understand what that is and why. And we hear that term being thrown around out there, and it's just given a false representation of what that product is and how it's really going to last.
Yeah, and this is telling us that your scientific, your geological category, and you have commercial categories. I mentioned that a lot of the granites that we used are geologically something else. Ingredients are basically the same. A gneiss, what is considered a gneiss, I know it's spelled gneiss, but it's you remember Santa Cecilia, New Venetian Gold, Gela Veneziano. Those are gneisses, and they perform like granites, but they're actually metamorphic. They were once a granite, and they were just subtly changed by the tectonic pressure or heat. And I touched on the limestone versus marble thing, the Crema Marfell, Botticino, Rojo Alicante, some of those old I say old, they're all old, but the materials we used a lot back in the 80s and 90s. All right, the right application. How many are afraid to put marble in the kitchen? And why are you afraid of that? Okay. What's that? Okay. Okay. All right. Evan, you want to touch on that a bit?
Yeah, we can we can speak.
First, I'm going to let you talk about this one here.
Okay, I'm going to go here first, but great comments there. Thank you. A lot of good stuff we can talk about. We do want to talk a little bit about, obviously, natural stone versus artificial stone. What do they say is the best flattery? Imitation's the best form of flattery. Is that right? So a lot of people flattering the natural stone industry, often duplicated, never replicated. They can't make it the same way. And so putting a natural product, I'm a big fan on this. Just I guess by a show of hands, and I'm going to ask the ladies on this one here, how many of you would prefer to have some cubic zirconium earrings rather than diamonds? I hear crickets. Okay, yeah, and that makes sense, right? Now we know that when buying a diamond, for example, there's inclusions, there's flaws, there's all that stuff that we know, and you can buy a cubic zirconium without any of that, without any of those issues. But we still prefer the real thing. We still prefer the natural product that has potential characteristics, flaws, any of that. And so, realistically, they're perfectly imperfect, and that's what I love about natural stone. You're seeing here different engineered, and what's interesting about this slide here, you see the Mont Blanc, for example. That name gets thrown around, right? It's a popular product, everybody's looking for it, everybody wants it, and all of a sudden the engineered products start to make products and call it the same name and try to sell it the same way. So really understanding when you're asking for a product too, knowing what you're looking for and understanding, is this Mont Blanc a quartz? Is this Mont Blanc a quartzite? What is this product here?
There's also a white glass product called Mont Blanc, and then there are, of course, the fancy, expensive pens.
Yeah, I want to make also a comment about this because, coming from Europe, for us putting marble in a kitchen, it's, something that we are accustomed to. We know the expectations. We know that if you put polished marble in a kitchen, over a period of time, it will become horn. Here I'm surprised because a lot of, people, they ask me, oh, I'm afraid of putting marble. I like fudge, the chocolate thing that is put together. And when I go to the fudge factory, I see a marble countertop, which to me is beautiful, hygienic. Yes, it doesn't look like, when it was put in at the beginning, but it's useful. It does what the expectation was at the beginning. And that's, to me, is amazing.
Yeah, and I think that goes to the talking about the staining or etching. We will go into that a little bit more, but the durability of marble and utilizing it. And realistically speaking, we buy leather couches, and those leather couches don't really feel comfortable until they're broken in. Natural stone, even marbles, are living, breathing products. And, to put them in there and to expect it to wear normally, that's part of the beauty and the charm. I could speak to old stone that I've seen in houses that are maybe 30 or 40 years old. You can speak to stone that you've seen out in Italy, and
Yeah, I mean, the stone there, I mean, here, 300 years old, it's old. For us, 300 years is like, brand new. So there are churches there that, they are, 2,000 years old. If you think about the Roman Empire, they quarry, marble 2,000 years ago in the Carrara region, and the churches are still there, I can assure that. So that's the beauty of, working with something natural that comes from earth, modified by human beings, but at the same time, it's still there. So that's the beauty of the stone.
People spend thousands of dollars to travel to see his stone, and I haven't had anybody spend thousands of dollars to see my stone countertop. So clearly there's something in older stone.
What's the price of gas in California?
Thousands of dollars a gallon.
All right, this little chart, it shows you how I'm a fabricator. I get asked, is quartz cheaper than granite? Is granite more expensive than quartz? Is marble's more expensive? They ask these questions, but when it comes down to it, their price point, there's high price points for this, there's low price points for that, and depending what they want to spend. And the direction I typically give them is, what do you want to look at every morning when you make your coffee? What's important to you? Is it the aesthetics? Is it the durability? Is it the carbon footprint? This shows a little bit of the little factory emojis or whatever you want to call them there. As far as natural stone is concerned, we cut it out of the mountain, and we're going to get into sustainability a bit. We cut it out of the mountain, we turn it into slabs, we send it to a fabricator. Or we send it to Evan's place and then to a fabricator. Where the other products, there's a much larger process. There's 4 or 5 more steps. There's factory steps. There's chemicals involved. There's all kinds of other things. And we're not here to bash the other products, just to dispel the information that using natural stone is worse for the environment than these man-made products and stuff.
And if I can enlighten, this is, again, another thing I like to talk about. Natural stone, what you see is what you get. The ingredients in natural stone is natural stone. When you talk about a man-made product, whatever that man-made product is, nobody really knows what went into it. Nobody really knows the ingredients, how much was used, if it was the right stuff or not. Some people may have heard me say this in the past, and I'll say it again, but if Buddy and I are here selling chocolate chip cookies today, and I've got my chocolate chip cookies at $1 a cookie, and he's selling 3 for $1, people are going to go buy his naturally because it looks like they're chocolate chip cookies and they're cheaper. Now, ironically, the only reason he was able to make them cheaper was because he was able to use salt, which was cheaper at the time, than sugar. Well, tell me how that chocolate chip cookie is going to taste and how much those are going to sell. The problem is with a natural stone, you know exactly what's inside of it. There's no surprises. When you're talking about a man-made product, there's a lot of surprises, and I'd hate for that product to be a surprise on my customer or my client. So I do a lot of research to really understand where it comes from, what's in it, and help people understand what they're getting, durability, and how important that is. And that also does determine price. So it's really good to understand your products there.
Okay, Williams, you want to talk about this little walkway?
Well, I mean, the walkway to me looks like the Via Appia in Roma using cobblestone. And one comment I want to make, the stone age with us. So when it's new, it behaves like a kid. But when it gets older, it has character. It brings something that, is aligned with ourselves. It's something that, goes end to end with, our age. And, the beauty comes out when it becomes old.
Okay, now I know you're sitting here thinking, says, I thought this was about countertops. Well, chapter 1 is just about over, okay? So we want to get a little prologue going in there, and here's the steps it takes to get the natural stone into the home. Here are the steps it takes to get the engineered quartz or even sintered products into the home too. So you can see there's quite a bit more that goes into it. And I'm looking at that one right in the middle that says polyester styrene dyes and other additives that are manufactured. The result is, well, it might be something that looks like natural stone. And what did you say a minute ago? Imitation is the
best form of flattery.
Okay.
That's right.
So, so the transparency, about the red, you want to tell us what a red list is?
I'd leave that for you. I'm not familiar with it.
A red list is like a list of like harmful ingredients. So, some products are supposed to do that. Those of you who have a shop or whatever, you have all those SDMS a notebook full of SDMS sheets about everything, in your shop, whether it's the alcohol or the products that you're manufacturing, and all the various products you have in there, whether it's the dye for your glue or whatever it might be. And it's just stuff that's harmful. It can't be thrown away properly. It might be caustic. That's a red list.
Yeah, even at the end of the cycle, let's say you want to change a stone in the building, the countertops, it's not going to be detrimental, to the environment. So that's the other thing to consider as well. Some other products, well, they could be.
Yeah, when you think about taking your countertop off, I think a lot of people say the average life cycle of a countertop might be 7 to 10 years, or at least that's maybe in California. I don't know, but people are changing. They're changing their countertops more frequently, and when you take off a stone and you potentially either recycle it, because it can be recycled. As a matter of fact, the road you drive on, everything underneath the road is all crushed up granite. It's really crushed up stone. So you can either recycle the product, or even if you throw it in the landfill, you're putting a rock back in earth there. You take a product that has a lot of chemicals, fillers, other things, and you put those in the landfill. Now, you think about down the road, what's that going to look like down the road? And when we talk about environmentally friendly, one of my best questions is, are we talking about being environmentally friendly for today or for the future of this planet? And I think that that's a big thing, is to put Mother Nature back with Mother Nature if you go that route.
The NSI has the sustainability standard, and right now it's with the quarriers, and there's roughly, Mark, 25, 30? Yeah, a little over 30 North American quarriers that have achieved this certification, which basically means that they are harvesting the stone, producing it with as little impact on the environment as possible. And even part of that is what's going to happen to the property when the materials are exhausted. Some things that, there's some, Adventure Park is one in Connecticut that's an old brownstone quarry. Some places have become golf courses, if it's a type of spread out sort of, quarry. So there has to be a plan to reuse the land, water usage, electricity usage, how they go about it. Even transportation is figured into this. And we have 30 North American quarries that have achieved this, and we are getting into more and more environmental stuff, EPDs and things like that, as we're going along, as it is getting more and more important to the decision makers. Now let's talk about fabricating and installing care and maintenance. This is what we came here for. Natural stone countertops. Now we're going to make some countertops. Okay, we figured out how to get them. Now we're going to make them. All right, so you start with working with your fabricator. I believe that's it was supposed to be a picture of the Stony Creek quarry because we were going to segue from, but it appears to be an Italian marble quarry. So that's where it starts. So you see that, nice little thing, the big old blocks, and it just looks like some rocks. But polish them up, and, well, we know what it gets, how they turn up. And then they, cut the blocks down. That's, I don't know where that is, but, this is just all, factory stuff. Set it up like a loaf of bread, slice it up. It's not that easy, but it's getting polished on the assembly line. Handles, the safety and care not to scratch or even break them or anything. And, here they are in Evan's yard maybe, or my yard, but my yard's not that big. But, we talk about safety, and part of safety is storing the slabs, especially when we have the homeowners in their house. They might bring their children. My office, my office staff is very good about having little coloring books and stuff to keep the children occupied, so they're not going out into my shop and touching something they're not supposed to. And I'm not just talking about the slabs. They might get their hands on some of the tools, sharp tools and things like that. So templating. Who? It's everybody. The fabricators. Who digitally templates? Is there anybody still working with the sticks and the tape measure? I do a little bit of both still. So, it's as technology is improving, so can our efficiencies and stuff. There's a digital layout, done with a software. I don't know which brand it is, but you can see how the photographs of it just basically picking and choosing where we're going to cut the slab. And there's the old-fashioned way.
Who's that handsome guy in the picture?
Oh, I don't know. I think that looks like my younger brother. Anyway, that's, the old-fashioned way with the, put the sticks together and lay it out, and we can give, the homeowner can actually see. They can do it with the digital, but the thing about the digital, you still don't get that aesthetic feel for the stone you're working with, and that's my opinion. They can't really touch it and feel it and everything. It's, it's efficient, it's convenient. We'll just send you, a couple of pictures to your office. You check off on it. We'll cut it that way. But what can happen is you cut it that way. Your sawyer might get a hold of it and say, hey, there's a fissure here or something like that, and they have to move it 2 or 3 inches. Now you're sending the photographs back and forth, or somebody's not going to sign off on it, and they're not going to be happy with the final product. So, working with the end user is important, setting expectations, and so on. And there's nice little shop drawing. I rarely have to do that. I'm a smaller shop. I recently had a job that they wanted shop drawings for everything, including the small pieces on the shower shelves and everything. And the design team kept sending them back with little red pencil marks and everything, and it kind of drove me nuts a little bit. But anyway, it's what they wanted. And our goal, I think all of our goal is to make the end user happy. And various equipment. You have the CNC equipment. Any questions on equipment? I want to hear from the design folks. You have any questions on how this equipment works or anything like that? Feel free to just throw up your hand, and Mark will get you a microphone maybe. It's a water jet machine. Now today they have saws and water jets combined. Back in the olden days of 10 years ago, you had to cut it and then put it on the water jet if they were going to do some water jet stuff. But there's an edge machine for straight polish work. Doesn't help with round, if you got a round a curve or an inside corner, but if you're doing volume work, you can zoom right through with one of those. And we'll get into some finishes, and William's going to talk a little bit about that from the design end.
Yeah, from a design point of view, Buddy, the beauty of a natural stone, you can recreate texture that, they appear differently according to your style, according to your creativity. On the left here, you see like a polished. So you want to put polish when you want to actually reflect, when you want to make the room brighter. Owned, as I mentioned before, through this conversation, is better for marble because it does not reflect and it looks like a little bit old. Or you can have a texture that also has a feeling. The beauty of the different finishes, they actually feel different when you actually touch them. That's another things to consider. So they send us different, I would say, sensations and they create really different emotion as well. The other thing that you can see from these pictures, not just countertops, but you can create, designs using the backsplash. We're going to go into more details later.
Anybody doing a lot of outdoor kitchens, or more so than you were maybe 2 or 3 years ago even? No more outdoor kitchens? Yeah. Okay. The texture, the leathered, the brushed gives it like an earthy feel when you put it outside. Gives it like, hey, I found this in the backyard and I put it on my barbecue counter here. So, and those, when I brought up the marble in the kitchen, one of the things I do is I almost insist that it becomes honed in they hone it, and for different reasons. And we'll touch that a little bit. So that is, for a softer material in the kitchen, honed is a suggestion. And, here we are, installing something here. This is a hotel in New Haven, Connecticut. We're putting a quartzite counter in their little coffee bar there. And you can see we're handling it upright, even though it may appear healthy. You handle it, horizontally, it may not support its own weight in the middle. So, and that's part of the whole safety. And you get into, we want to be into the same, habits. We find stone that's more, might be more healthy, and well, this one I can carry flat, but then my crew may decide, well, I carried that one flat, let me risk it with this one, and this one, and it's not going to work, when it gets to a point with a more fragile material. We want to make sure that a path to where we're going with the counter is clear before we pick that stone up and carry it inside, whether we're putting it on a wheel dolly or whatever. So, the safety comes into it, and sometimes access. I do a little bit of work in New York City. I'll go and measure with the digital machine there, and you know, I got to make sure it's going to fit in the elevator because I'm not walking out with a template that might not fit in the elevator. So there are a lot of things we have to, you know, take a look at, and that's, you know, something to, you know, talk about no matter what, you know, part of the industry you're in. And, you know, more, this is addressing rotting, which they have other equipment that today, like clamps and things that we may be able to avoid using rods. Years ago, it was stainless steel rods, which do rust, okay? Don't, you know, just because it's stainless steel, don't think it's not going to rust. They do rust. It takes a while. All it takes is one little air pocket in the epoxy in front or back of the sink for that drop of moisture to get in, and 10 years later, it's oxidized and broken. How many have seen that left to right, east to west crack in front of the sink? You know, from something that was installed 10, 15, 20 years ago. Nobody? Wow. Well, Mark, I know. Okay. All right. All right. Evan, this is one of your jobs, I believe. And we see the detail. It's a beautiful quartzite. It's talking about finger space, you know, the little space underneath that 1 inch of overhang there, getting into waterfall details on this one, and the, you know, the full height splash. You know, the proper sealant at the joints. Evan, you want to add about this? This is one of your projects, I believe.
This is our material, actually. It's a it's called Deep Blue from Brazil. Pretty material there. But really just, you know, so we're, I guess, you know, from my perspective, we put some pictures here, but we do work with our fabricators, you know, oftentimes with the materials just to make sure that, you know, they know what they're getting, they can see the materials and help them, you know, get the right products. We pay a lot of attention to little details. So, you know, something like this, for example, on that overhang, you know, everybody, you know, well, how many people here are in the 2cm market? Okay, so we have some 2cm and then a lot of 3cm. So in 2cm, we have to deal with, you know, the subtops, the boards and everything. And so, you know, in that area, if you've ever sat at somebody's bar top and you're sitting there and you feel the wood underneath and get a splinter, or that happens to me all the time. I guess that's just my fault. But, you know, we focus on really even not just what you see up top, but what's underneath too, making sure you're using a good plywood. We actually used a cabinet grade plywood underneath. We promote that, so that way it's smooth, it's finished, it's nice. Because it's what you see and what you don't see on there. And so the details, you know, really the lines, matching up the lines, a good fabricator that you work with, working with them I think is very important. We always suggest go meet with them, look at where they're going to template it out, see how the lines are going to match up, make sure you're okay with that. Because the last thing you want to do is a kitchen like this in your backsplash right behind your sink, you have a line where your pattern changes. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to see that. So having those kinds of conversations so you can have the continuity in the pattern is really important as well.
You know, sometimes the budget might come into come into play whether they want to purchase an extra slab to make the vein match and line up.
Question.
Oh, go ahead.
So quick question, I see on the overhang you have there, but you do have that waterfall as support. So I'm just curious what your recommendation is on a freestanding island on overhang without supports. And then the second part of that is when you have on that wraparound, looks like on that column, you have supports on both sides. Does that enable you to extend your material out even more without any kind of corbels or support?
Are you familiar with the Natural Stone Institute DSDM? The Design Stone Dimensional Manual, Dimensional Stone Design Manual. That is, it's the technical Bible, so to speak. We had another presenter the other day call it the Bible. It gives you all of those parameters. An unsupported overhang on natural stone on 3cm is 10 inches. But you got to have the 2-to-1 ratio when you get to that 10 inches. Even if you have 48 inches on the cabinet, you're still not going any more than 10 inches without any support. Yes, there are some materials that are going to be healthier and do that. However, something like that might have some dry veins and fissures in it that you're not going to see. And the last thing we want is someone to hang that high chair. I don't know why they would do that, but they'd hang the high chair on there, put their baby in, and he comes tumbling down with the stone and all, you know. So there is a guide to tell you in different situations. So when I have a customer who tells me, I want a 16-inch overhang, I said, okay, tell me about your support, your corbels, posts. Are you doing anything like that? No, I want it freestanding. I said, well, then you might have to hire somebody else because I'm not doing it. And it doesn't matter whether it's something very healthy like a black absolute or one of those classic salt and pepper granites.
Yeah, that DSDM manual, I highly recommend checking out the with the Natural Stone Institute. If you haven't, go visit and see. That book it's thick. It's got so much information. It'll tell you the proper standards, that have been tested and everything as well. It's phenomenal. It's a cheat sheet for anything you ever want to know about how to properly install it, and so I'd recommend checking it out.
Yes. And my installers have the just the installation part. It's even in a separate little binder in the truck. So my template guy carries it, so when there are those questions and he's out there, measuring, he can say, no, we can't do this with this material, with that. The man-made stuff, you have to check with the manufacturer's recommendations on that, because there's so many different manufacturers on that. And this is about setting expectations too. So, everything's coming full circle here a little bit there. Care and maintenance. All right, well, let's talk about a little bit of this here. Tolerances, spans, and cantilevers. You're ahead of your time, sir. You're way ahead of us here.
That's your book right there.
Resin impregnation, what's allowable repair, what's an allowable seam. It's all in the DSDM there. And that says number 8. We actually have a revised version coming out very, very soon. And instead of the volume, it's going to be labeled with the actual year that it was revised. So, if I've got in my office volume 7, that might have been done in 2012 or 2008 or something. I couldn't tell you, but it's always getting revised. Professionals are always getting together and putting their heads together and changing what needs to be changed and removing the outdated stuff.
I want to add something about the National Stone Design Book. Marmomac, which is the organization like the NSI in Europe, is collaborating now with the NSI, and this book is becoming probably the standard for the entire world. So it's something that a great job done by the NSI promoting all the technical standards by STM and so forth. And as I mentioned, it's becoming like a guideline, not just for the US market and the Canadian market, but worldwide. Something that, it's very important for the industry to promote it in a proper way.
We're talking about countertops here, but has anybody done any vertical applications in, say, a shower, fireplace, or something like that, where you're going up the ceiling? This will give you, the proper way to anchor those in. If, it's over a certain size, you can't just use thin set. It needs to be tied into the wall, and different various different manners you can do it if it's not addressed by whoever might have made the architectural drawings or so. So care and maintenance. It's a nice little piece of marble. There's a piece marble vanity. Will is going to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, where do we want to put this marble? In this particular case, like in a vanity top, probably in the bathrooms, we're not going to have objects that can easily scratch the surface. Yeah, you can have some soap, but you're not going to have, problems, putting this into this particular area. So have the proper expectation to where you're going to put the product, understanding how the product will perform.
Yeah, we talked about we're going to touch more on marble in the kitchen, but the the vanities, there might be some hair products, toothpaste products and stuff that may damage a marble top. So you still have to keep a little pay a little attention.
A fun fact on that toothpaste there. Heard this, I don't know if anybody knows, but when you do, who here brushed your teeth this morning? I'm just kidding. Anyway, the toothpaste that you use actually to brush your teeth has marble dust in it. They actually, at the quarries, they keep a lot of that dust. And, somebody was telling me a story that they went there and they saw piles of this dust there. And they said, well, what is this for? And they said, oh, that's actually sold to the toothpaste company. So it's kind of nice. Who here brushed your teeth with calcium carbonate this morning? That's a real, yeah, nice job.
Anybody get Aj? The antacid industry uses a lot of marble dust too, so. All right, so we've gone from the softer, more vulnerable marble to a more durable granite. And where is that granite?
Well, that's my personal kitchen buddy.
Oh, okay.
So I actually, selected the slabs. I, work with the fabricators. And to me, it's amazing because every morning, this is actually a silver gray granite from Brazil. So every morning I go there, make my Italian espresso and so forth. I discover something new. So it's something unique. So sometimes we have 3 hours conversation about that veining that I believe that was there, but my daughter says, no, it was not there. So it's like also a point of discussion. It's kind of interesting. So we can talk about, you see on the left, the picture on the, countertop, and we created, that island, which is the table. So you can do this kind of coordinations, across, the kitchen, ranging from countertops to islands, to tables and so forth. Even with a basic kind of like a design in terms of, the side that goes around, the tables as well as the countertop.
There's another version. Now, we're going to call that granite commercially, but it really is, I'm going to say migmatite or pigmatite. It has some fancy geological name like that, but it's mostly siliceous, quartz-based, and it is, durable. It performs like granite. So not to confuse all the consumers, geologically it's something else, but you know what? It's granite as far as most of us are concerned.
I do want to kind of answer a question we had earlier about using marble in the kitchens as well, and proper sealers and understanding those types of stones in there. We hear a lot of people say we try to discourage people from using marble in the kitchen, and we understand that aspect of it's going to be a little bit more maintenance, or you're going to see more wear and tear. A lot of people that I've talked to really love the fact of having a natural breathing product in their kitchen that does have that. As people have talked about stories. They have stories of, I remember when this happened, and it's really not, a lot of people that I know that have had it, they're not really, they enjoy it. There's actually a piece to that. But on the flip side, honing. We talked about honing, marble. Honed marble countertops is, I think you suggest that oftentimes when people are putting a marble in their kitchen.
Yep, the reason why I suggest it is if you've got a polished marble, you want marble in your kitchen, okay? You've got to have it. You're going to live with whatever wear and tear. If it's polished, it's going to get scratched. It's going to get etched. We have great protection on it. It still doesn't protect from the acids in citrus and vinegar and stuff like that. So, but I strongly suggest, if not insist, that it's honed. And the reason being, as it does wear, it's not as noticeable. It just really isn't. A polished kitchen, after a couple of years, it's going to look like you're hosting the Olympics with all the rings on it and stuff. Whereas the honed, you're going to have to get the light the right way to see, to kind of see where everything, where the damage is. And as it's honed, you can have, it can be brought back up and given what we call it, in my neighborhood, a hug and a kiss, where we just kind of hone it back out. If it's something that's really deep, well, maybe not, but just to kind of bring it back to life a little bit. I did a kitchen back in 2007 of a family with 4 growing boys that were like 3 to 10 years old. And about 5 years after that, they asked me to come over and take out some of the scratches, and there was this rectangular pink stain. And I asked her, I said, do you want me to poultice out that stain? And she said, no, that's where my son spilled Hawaiian Punch, put the placemat over it to hide the fact that it happened, and nobody knew about it for several days. So she wanted to leave it there to tell the story of, her family growing up. So, so it's different strokes for different folks. So setting the example, what to expect with that marble kitchen is important. If somebody wants it, I'm going to say in 2007 when I did that kitchen, I had a 5-minute conversation with my end user. Today I've got like a 5-page explanation and waiver for them to sign.
And on a sealant aspect of it, proper sealers, I think we were talking about staining. Somebody mentioned about staining concerns. Well, there's a lot of different types of sealers out there. Making sure that you're using the proper sealer for the right products, and that's really going to, oftentimes, like at our distribution center, we do train people on which product to use for which material. So, for example, a granite may require one type of sealer, a quartzite may require another, a marble perhaps another, and using the right sealer makes all the difference. We've had people that are using one sealer as a blanket sealer for everything, and then they come back and say, well, what's going on with my quartzite, or what's going on here? Well, not using the right sealer makes a big difference, and so there is an education aspect to making sure you're using that right.
Yeah, if I come across an unfamiliar product in my shop, we'll do a sample of the 6 or 8 different products I have, but what might work for 48 hours in my shop might not translate over the long period of time. What might be the best product for that short period of time might wear out after a year rather than 5 years. So really, there is no blanket statement again. So, but those are things to consider. I know there are some anti-etch coatings coming on the market yet. I have yet to really work with them to find out how effective they are. So that's, more will be revealed on that.
I want to add something on the sealer because I do maintain my granite, low maintenance, but you really don't need every day to seal it, Really, it's once a year. And it's an operation that can be done, by the end user in, 10 minutes, even less than that. So it's not something that requires, machineries, equipment, something very easy to do that we can all do. Just follow the instructions.
I tell them to look for when something absorbs immediately, not 30, 60 minutes later. As you're doing your dishes, you get some splashing and stuff. If those dots happen right away, then it's time to put another application.
Yeah, and I do recommend, there are sealers out there that are 15-year sealers, or they call them lifetime sealers as well, that you can put in there. And as you see here, impregnators versus topical, that's an interesting concept because people used to have, oftentimes they'd go around and say, oh, you have to seal your counter every 6 months, every year, and that's pretty common. Actually, more porous products you may want to be looking at sealing more frequently. But there are sealers out there that are 15-year sealers. You put it on one time, and it's as easy as Windexing, cleaning, wiping it on, wiping it off, and it makes a big difference. And the difference between an impregnator, as you see here, versus a topical product is the impregnator actually gets inside the stone. So when you're washing it, you're not taking that sealer off. The topical coating, when you're washing it and using anything to clean it, you are slowly removing that sealer. So that's where you went from topical, which would get worn out in a year, 6 months, and you have to go back and redo it, to an impregnator that actually gets deep inside there and molecularly bonds to the stone. So a lot of people come into our place and say, oh, we don't want stone because you have to seal it every 6 months or a year. And we show them our sealer and say, this is a 15-year sealer. And they just put 15 years on there because realistically, you don't have to put it on even really a second time. I know in our house, I'm trying to remove my granite countertops. I'm trying to ruin them as much as I can because they're old, but I can't stain them. I can't do any of that. So it's yes.
Would you continue to seal on such products like the Zero Care? Would you still apply sealer just for more of a poor tissue?
Well, some of these places, and I know Zero, they will say if you use a sealer that it can actually void the warranty. So you want to make sure you look into those brands, for example, that are doing that. On the flip side, if it doesn't affect the warranty, it's never a bad idea to use a product once, a good product, right, one time, and set it and forget it, right? Seal it and forget it. But I would check with the brands because oftentimes they will have a statement in their warranty that says if you use a sealer, if you do this, then it voids their warranty.
Think of the topical coating as a varnish that's going to wear as you drag things on it. A lot of stone that is installed with a cementitious adhesive, like in a shower or something that's thin-setted, the varnish will prevent that mortar from breathing and the moisture to kind of vapor through, which is it's a lifetime process. It's even though everything seems dry, there's still slight bits of moisture coming through. So you really can't trap it in. It might end up popping, or causing it to fail. Okay. Acids. All right,
Question back here.
You mentioned earlier about different sealers for like a quartzite or a granite or a marble, as opposed to a one size fits all. What do you look for to see which one may be preferable for a particular stone? Is that to the sealer manufacturer, or does the NSI have something on that?
Well, the NSI is not going to endorse one company over another. There's probably 4 or 5 chemical companies that provide great products. As I mentioned earlier, if I have something that I'm unfamiliar with, I would try the water-based, the solvent-based, the enhancer, and various parts of the stone of the various products to see which one is going to be more effective over the short period of time. And then I would talk, with the end user about, this worked great over 48 hours, but I'd also tell them that it might not translate to be the best over 6 years, 10 years, 15 years. My basic rule of thumb is if it's a very dense stone, like, some quartzites are very dense, some aren't. But if it's very dense, I will use a solvent-based. If it's porous, like a limestone or some of these absorbent quartzites, I'm going to use a water-based. And the difference is the sealing molecules are carried. The water is a carrier, the solvent's a carrier. Solvent base is going to be thinner. It's going to absorb into the tighter, denser materials, leaving behind the polymer molecules that do the sealing. I believe it's polymer. Whereas with something more absorbent like a limestone, the water has got bigger molecules and it's going to absorb into it. And and as a carrier, and then leave behind the sealing molecules.
Also, I've had a lot of luck reaching out to the sealer companies and asking them, and believe it or not, they've done a lot of testing on specific products. So if I say, I'm looking for a Taj Mahal, the best sealer, what do you recommend? A Mont Blanc, what's the best sealer? And they'll tell me, oh, you should use this one, you should do 2 applications, 1 application. We've gone through that before, and there's certain stones that are super porous that they said do 4 applications on it. So they've done a lot of research on it. That's who I'd reach out to.
I found that if I put a solvent-based sealer on a stone and try to put a water base on top of it, that if the sealer's working, it's not going to allow that second application in. But a solvent will probably dissolve through any water-based sealer or solvent-based sealer that's already been applied. So now, none of those are going to prevent from etching. You leave a lemon on there, the acid is still going to do what acid does, and that's eat things. And it likes to eat calcium carbonate. So etching versus staining.
There's your
On
Audi
the,
logo.
on the left is an etch that's on a piece of marble. On the right, it's a stain. We can see that the granite has had some rings absorb into it. Now, those will dry out. They could be poulticed out. The etching needs to be rehoned or polished, refinished. You see what the lemon does? And that'll do that in about a second. I just did an inspection where someone was sold a quote-unquote quartzite, but it really was a marble when I saw it at first look. And I actually filmed it as part of the arbitration I filmed doing the drip of lemon on there. Squeezed the lemon, let it drop, cleaned it off seconds later, and it looked just like that. So, and some stones are going to be more vulnerable than others, etch quicker. The dolomitic marbles might take a little bit more time with a lemon sitting on it than calcareous marble. Everyday cleaning, you want to use safe products, mostly water. If you can use water, use water. If you use a little bit of soap, that's fine, something mild. You don't, get into like, some of the quote-unquote natural products might have some sort of citrus in there, citric acid in there for cleaning, accredited fabricators, we talked about certifications of the quarriers before. We have a certification program for fabricators. They go through a rigorous checklist of not only safety, but just best practices and stuff. And you can look that up on the NSI website to find an accredited fabricator in your neighborhood. And, so this way they are more, I'm not going to say they are more knowledgeable, but they have proven to be more knowledgeable. There are fabricators out there that have the same experience and knowledge, but they just haven't gone through to go through that process. But this way that fabricator has been through that process and has a proper experience. So let's talk about design. We have some designers in here. We have a few minutes left, so we're going to try to quicken it up, but which one of yours is that?
Well, that's actually an Eigen Blue quartzite, and so when we go into the design trends, obviously a lot of designers here, you're seeing now a lot of colors coming into the market. If you guys have gone through the Brazilian pavilion, greens, blues, beautiful, beautiful, vibrant colors that are really impactful. We're also seeing that used on the backsplashes. So now it's not just about that black and white kitchen. I think that's kind of in the past a little bit. It's getting a little bit warmer, and then you're getting people that are saying, well, I want something that's really going to pop. I want to make a statement. And now there's all these beautiful, beautiful stones coming out that just have some amazing colors. If you haven't seen them over there in Brazil, go check them out. There's some gorgeous stuff.
And with the waterfall design there, that's something that was very rare 10 years ago, and now it's almost commonplace. So.
Yeah, this is an interesting project. What you see over here is during the fabrications, pretty much for a kitchen. You have on the left, you have the countertop. On the other, you have separated island. You can move to the next photo. So this is the installation. The product here is called Rosso Colle Mandina. It's a marble coming from the Lucca region in Tuscany on the west coast of Italy. The beauty of this project, the house was an existing home that needed to be renovated, so they selected this product in order to give this kind of like antique look. As you can see, these kind of veins, they are kind of like, larger, so they're not, complex, articulated. On the right, you see that island that gives you this kind of like, old look to the entire kitchen. The beauty of this project is that not just the countertop, as well as the island have been fabricated using the Rosso Colle Mandina, but also the sink. You mentioned before, Buddy, that you could have problems, in oxidizing of metal. In this particular case, they took a small block, they carved it, and in the front of that sink, you actually see a piece that has been hand carved by hand in order to create this antique look in this kitchen.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Here, if you want to be more modern, yes, go with the Bianco Carrara. So what they did in this particular case, can you put polish? We say no, but they did it on the backsplash. You know, so many times you can actually put on the countertop, but go with a polished, mosaics, for example, on the backsplash. So they're not affected by that. On the other side of the spectrum, if you want to switch the colors, here you have a uba tuba, the granite, low maintenance. So you can create, different contemporary kitchen, but just switching the colors.
So we've gone from the classic look with the rojo and the to the contemporary almost lacquer look. So this is one I did a few years ago. It's a Calcutta with a polished Calcutta. They insisted. I actually had to go back there and poultice out some Sharpie characters from homework that the children did at the island. But that, this one was fun. So there's your, the one on the right is a quartzite kitchen. Don't really have I got that picture from the builder, so I don't really have a good view of it. However, you see from the marble to the quartzite gives you the durability. You can get some lighter colors with quartzites if you're concerned about wear and maintenance. And here is a Calcutta in a honed version. Vein matched just about everywhere we can. Of course, sometimes the material yield would give you limitations. The hood was engineered with the homeowner, who happens to be an engineer and architect, but that was engineered and to an iron frame that is bolted into the frame of the house. So we worked together to engineer that, as there were really no drawings to get that up there. We referred to the design manual on making some anchors to get it to the tube iron frame, and then they inserted the fan apparatus into there. And the island is butterflied and waterfalled, but everybody's seen a waterfall these days, so I didn't think that was that important. So, and here's another Calcutta island and full height backsplash. It's hard to see. That was from the magazine company there that took that picture. And you can do more than countertops too. That's a Grigio, maybe Verona. I don't remember what suffix is on there, but it was diamond match to butterfly diamond match, whatever you want to call it. The hearth, as you see on the bottom, that was almost by accident that it came out that way with the vein matching. That just happened to be what was left from the remnants to make that hearth, so I got lucky with that. But that was a fun project. We had to build a wooden platform to get everything up, as we couldn't bring any really heavy equipment into the house, as it is on a second floor.
Yeah, this is some of the stone you're going to see if you go to the Brazilian Pavilion. You'll see these gorgeous bright colors, these book matches, really, really pretty, aesthetically pleasing to the eye when you see that mirror image. And I'll tell you, it just makes you want to go take a bath. I know I do right now.
Well, as you could just see, up where I live in Connecticut, everything's still kind of traditional with the the Calcuttas and the simpler stuff. In Italy, we have the whole variety of things, from really, really classic and to contemporary. And in California, they're still playing with the tie-dye, I see. So those of you who want to become speakers, go to our website, follow the bouncing ball, and get yourself through the orientation. For those of you who want a speaker, a design professional, go to our website. You can find somebody in your neighborhood that can come and give you a presentation and deliver those CEUs. If you have there was a couple of retail, guests here. If you want to have a presentation and invite your customer base or possible customer base, and you want to have one of these CEUs, you can go and find them. And there's 18 turnkey CEUs on natural stone that our speakers are trained to basically deliver. I can't deliver. I don't know all of the 18 of them, but there are 5 or 6 that I've delivered a few times, presented a few times, and I know pretty well. So website is there. So and Building Stone Magazine has some great information in it. It's basically it's focused towards the design community. A lot of, bigger commercial products in there. And, we will sell you advertising if you want. So, and if you have any questions, Evan, myself, will be at the booth 529 for a little bit after this. Give us about 30 minutes to get out there. Also want to mention that our Pinnacle Awards, which are the best in the industry, best stone projects in the industry, this year we have a new category, kitchen and bath. And let me so your best countertop, your best bathroom, and it doesn't have to be slab material. You can have a combination of, a herringbone tile and mosaic with your slab vanity and stuff. And how the jury works on these, it's not one winner per category. They decide whether the project is award worthy. So, there's commercial categories, there's parks and monuments, there's about, I think, 6 or 8 different categories. It's not the winner in each category. There may be 4 winners in one category and 0 in another. So if you have something, please enter it. It's, it's a great way to get recognized because all the publicity that comes with it. And
in closing, I do want to say this. Natural stone, countertops, all of this is a very, there's a lot of things, a lot of unknown, a lot of education that needs to happen. And, coming here is the first step of really learning some new things. Hopefully y'all got a couple nuggets to take home with you, but that doesn't mean that, we're not here to answer any questions down the road. Natural Stone Institute's at the booth today, but they're also always around, ready to pick up that phone and help with any questions that we can, because there's a lot of myths out there, and they are myths. And so really being able to understand what's real, what's not real, it's great to ask people who have that education, that understanding. So,
got a question in the back? Yeah, Mark, is this recorded for future on demand or?
We can get your information in.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, it's going to be. Yeah, you can get this presentation through the Coverings website. So, and we also have similar webinars that you can get on demand on our website. Also, what Evan was talking about, getting information. The gentleman who asked about the span question and the overhang question. Those are the types of answers. You can email us and our technical director, or we have a nice technical staff. One of them's in the room with us right now. We'll get back to you and help you out with that, or direct you to where it is so you can download that and show it to your customer. Any other questions? Yes.
So you're asking about putting hot stuff on quartzite. Good question. When you're talking about the natural, quartzite versus quartzite on the man-made quartz, you don't want to put hot stuff on it. Natural stone, it can handle the heat typically better, but they always recommend to put a trivet or something underneath it, not directly on there. A lot of that has to go to, I think, even fabrication perspectives in terms of how a crack can happen, how the thermal shock can happen there. So, I mean, I think you have certain...
Yeah, the other thing about putting your pots, whether they're hot or not, these pots and pans today are made from all these different metal alloys. And if you drag one, that metal might be a mineral bonding, so you might get that silver scratch, which is actually a bonding of the minerals to your stone. The other thing is some quartzites, not all quartzites are made equally. You have the quartzites like the Macabas and stuff, which are relatively solid. They almost look like a grayish Carrara sometimes. And then you have the Taj Mahals, which are made up of a bunch of micro fissures and stuff. You put that hot pot in there, some of those minerals might be a little bit susceptible to to the heat. And the other thing is the resining practice that's done by the slab yards to fill in those fissures and whatnot. That might be affected by your hot pot too.
Also, sealers. Sealers aren't meant to withstand heat. That wasn't what they were built for. So if you're putting a hot stuff on a sealed countertop, that sealer can break down faster, causing you to have to reseal it more frequently as well. Any sealers, they're not meant for the heat. So there's a possibility that too much heat on an impregnator or a topical could actually break it down. So we just recommend obviously, it's always better to put something underneath it to be safe.
If you have to take it off in an emergency, by all means, do it. But, the dragging might transfer, give you that little scratch thing. The heat might affect a different mineral in it. And, you know, again, the resining process that's done in the slab yards, you might get a scorch out of that too. Phone number, website, feel free. Feel free to tap any of us on the shoulder if you have any questions. And thank you for coming.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you all.